Coming up on Patriots Today by Chat Sports, we're going to talk about the pending free agents this offseason for New England, and I'll break down whether they should stay or New England should probably part ways with them just because their time is over in a New England uniform. You got to think, Mike Vrabel is going to create his own culture in New England, and I'm very excited to see who he can bring in. But before he brings in guys, we have to decide whether or not there's room for them and if we can give them the playing time that they deserve. But before we do that, I know a lot of you guys want to see T. Higgins in New England next season. Well, some reports are saying that maybe he wants to have a relationship still with Cincinnati. Well, right now, we do have a Bengals breakdown channel at Chat Sports, and I want to beat them in subscribers in January just to show the kids in Cincinnati that we want T. Higgins more in New England, and we can give him more money and playing time than Joe Burrow and the Bengals can do. So let's beat Bengals breakdown in January in the month of subscribers, and if we get more subs than them, then we're going to show them we want T. Higgins more. So go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. Let's talk about Joanthan Jones, the 32-year-old secondary player for New England. I'm going to be honest. The number one thing that I look at when I see Joanthan Jones is that veteran leadership, which you can always benefit from on the field and in the locker room. But in terms of talent, there were numerous instances where Joanthan Jones would constantly get beat by younger and faster wide receivers, leaving Christian Gonzalez, Alex Austin really out to dry here. When I look at a guy like Joanthan Jones being 32 years old, and then you look at what Christian Gonzalez just did in his second year of the NFL, I think you need to let Joanthan Jones go to make room for younger, faster, and more equipped secondary players. And if you do decide to keep Jones on the roster, a vet minimum type of deal, it would purely be for locker room leadership, and I don't think I would allow him to be a starter anymore. But there are other defensive players I do think could make a huge impact moving forward with the new Mike Vrabel offense and defense, and that's got to be Deatrich Wise Jr., the captain. One of the lone captains that didn't get either injured or benched from their position. Deatrich Wise Jr. continued to show up every single week. And I know that sounds like that's his job, and it is, but it was really hard to do that for New England this last season. And something I liked about Deatrich Wise, he's already voiced his love for playing in New England, and he does want to come back. And towards the end of the season, he really did help out with the Patriots defense. He actually tied the team high in sacks with Keion White at 5 sacks for the year, which is also a negative for New England, that our team high was 5 sacks. I think we can do a lot better than that moving forward, but you absolutely need to make Deatrich Wise comfortable because I think he's going to stay for a long time. I cannot say the same for Daniel Ekuale. I'm sorry. He obviously did step up huge for that 3-4 front when we were dealing with injuries with Christian Barmore and Devon Godchaux. But Daniel Ekuale, while he did have a pretty good outing for New England in 2024, 52 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. It was a type of guy where I felt like I wasn't ever getting anything more than the bare minimum out of him, which is okay because our defense and our team pretty much gave the bare minimum every single week. But now that we have a new system coming in, Daniel Ekuale is a guy that I don't see paying a lot of money for this next year, and possibly getting a guy like Abdul Carter or maybe another guy in free agency. You're not going to have a need for Ekuale on that 3-4 front. Moving back here, let's talk a little bit more about those 4 guys. A linebacker, Christian Elliss. I loved Ellis's drive. I love that every single play he gave his absolute most. He was constantly putting in quarterback pressures when the team really didn't decide they wanted to give a shit on that play. Christian Elliss really stepped up big when he did not have a starting role for New England this last year. He made it his own. He turned into a headhunter. And Jahlani Tavai, who he paired very well with, but you have to remember, we lost Jawan Bentley this year. That's how Ellis got to have that role, and I think he established himself as a starter moving forward. 80 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and I'm also going to throw in there his interception when Christian Gonzalez tipped it and it landed right into Christian Ellis' hands. The guy is a playmaker. Jaylinn Hawkins as well. When you're looking at the secondary, like I said, Joanthan Jones, that type of guy that's a little bit too old for my liking in terms of playmaking on the field, but you can't say the same for Hawkins. This dude fit in very well in the second team that would come in for the Kyle Duggars, Jabril Peppers, because obviously we played a lot of games without Peppers this year while he was going through the legal side of off-the-field stuff. And then Kyle Duggar did have a lot of injuries towards the end of the season. I noticed that Jaylinn Hawkins really got better in man-to-man defense, which would pair very well when Christian Gonzalez as your cornerback constantly shadows that top wide receiver. Jaylinn Hawkins is the second line of defense, the secondary that really proved to be a good headhunter towards the end of the year that I think Vrabel can find a position for him moving forward. My number one must keep, Alex Austin. With a guy like Christian Gonzalez, you can't really replicate him. That was the only downfall of Gonzo this year, is that when you're playing Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, you can only pick one for Gonzo to shadow, which left that other receiver to have a 100-plus yard game. That's where Austin comes in. Unfortunately, he was on the injured reserve for a couple games this year, but Alex Austin is constantly breaking up passes, and he is mimicking the effort that Gonzo gives, which is very hard to do. He's quiet, he is reserved, but he is very, very sneaky going up against top receivers this year in the NFL. I think you keep Alex Austin. I think you start to learn how to pair Gonzo and Austin on the field together. So my question for you guys, going through the top defensive players heading into free agency for the Patriots, which defender are you excited for most in 2025? I think mine is Alex Austin. A lot of you guys want to see a little bit more out of Keion White. Totally understand. But go on ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. Let me tell you guys real quick about Prize Picks, our sponsor here on Patriots Today. This is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America, and I play it every single game day. So do 10 million other active users play it, including producer Coop. So if you guys want to be like Coop, and who doesn't, go on ahead and download the Prize Picks app. When you guys get there, super, super easy. It's actually probably one of the easiest parts of my day. All you have to do is just pick more or less on a player's projected stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. That's right, up to 1,000 times your money. This is one of my favorite times of the year in terms of football games. So I will take King Henry to have more than 97 rushing yards against the Buffalo Bills. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery expected to return, but I still think Gibbs is the ace. Give me more than one rushing and receiving touchdown. And then C.J. Stroud, at least one passing touchdown going up against the other great quarterback in the NFL, and that is Patty Mahomes. So if you guys want to go ahead and make your Prize Picks, it's super easy to do so. Just download the Prize Picks app, use promo code CLNS. That'll give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks app. This will give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup when you use promo code CLNS. Prize Picks, run your game. If you guys haven't already, go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. There's going to be a lot of roster moves made in the offseason. I can feel it in my bones, and I want to be able to get you guys in on the latest for absolute free news, rumors, breaking news. We've got it right here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. So go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. Jacoby Brissett, the man we were forced to watch for 5 weeks this year when Drake May was on the bench. Good job, Mayo. I think you got to let Jacoby Brissett go. If there's one thing we learned from Week 18 is that Joe Milton is a backup quarterback for Drake May. He showed that he has very similar playing styles to Drake May. They call him Bazooka Joe for a very good reason. The guy has a cannon of an arm. And I think when you've got Drake May, who is a very efficient passer, you can now rely more on Joe Milton as your backup, and you don't necessarily need the Jacoby Brissett. If you do want to keep him, you need to flip. And you need to let Joe Milton be your quarterback too, and Brissett be your emergency quarterback, mainly more of a practice squad guy and definitely a locker room leader. I love the veteran aspect that he was able to provide for Drake May, but in terms of talent, you just don't need him anymore. That's okay. Thank you, Jacoby Brissett, for your service for the first 5 weeks of the season. Another guy that I loved this year that I did not expect to love more than Hunter Henry was Austin Hooper. He came in thanks to Alex Van Pelt. He did bring us some good this last year. Hooper was the exact same type of route runner as Hunter Henry. But the thing that really a lot of people didn't notice is that Rhamondre Stevenson, when he did have long carries, and it wasn't too often this year, wasn't my favorite year from Rhamondre, every single long run that Stevenson had, it's because you had Hooper on the line blocking for him. And that was big with an offensive line that pretty much sucked when it come to run plays for Stevenson. So to have Hooper be able to create those numerous gaps time and time again is proving he's a dual threat, and he should still be a top target for Drake May next year along with Hunter Henry. You need to keep Austin Hooper. But talking about running backs, I don't think you need JaMycal Hasty. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Jeffrey Cooperstein, obviously a Dallas Cowboys fan, and maybe there's a Rico Dowdle out there that may hit free agency that the Patriots could possibly acquire, but not just a guy like Dowdle. I think that with JaMycal Hasty, Antonio Gibson proved to be a really good pickup in free agency, and he may even give Rhamondre Stevenson a run for his money because this last year was not Stevenson's best. Hasty didn't really prove a purpose after Antonio Gibson, so I do think that now having other free agents entering in to the market this year, you can upgrade this running back position and really work on that depth at running back, and I just don't think you need Hasty in the mix of things. You definitely don't need Ben Brown. You didn't need him this year, but you picked him up anyways. You picked him up on the waiver wire from the Raiders practice squad to be your center for the future of your franchise, Drake May. He needs a vacation. Drake May does, not Ben Brown. He didn't do anything. Now that you have David Andrews coming back and you have Cole Strange coming back, there is no reason to keep Ben Brown on this roster, and I think that's pretty much it. And another guy that should not be on the Patriots at all moving forward is Demontrey Jacobs. The only thing he was good at this year is false starts. I mean, my goodness, dude, can you just count to 3 before you jump? It is just uncanny how bad he was. He did have moments of keeping Drake May as protected as he could, but the penalties, dude, you did nothing but constantly hurt the offense more than you helped it. Bye-bye, Demontrey Jacobs. This one was a little bit tough for me with Joey Slye. I do think that the kickers overall in the NFL this year just took a drastic dip. But you know who didn't? Chad Ryland. You know who you picked over Chad Ryland? Joey Slye. And I would put him in the category of kickers that did dip off. I think it's okay to let Joey Slye go, but my only reserve with Slye is who else is out there that's going to possibly be better. And we did rely on Joey Slye a lot because our red zone offense wasn't the best, and I do understand that. But I want to definitely test out the free agency market and see what could be there. But if there is somebody better, I would definitely take them over Joey Slye. If not, well, then let's just get back to practice, my guy. Last question for you guys. Should New England sign a kicker? We had the kicker competition last year of Chad Ryland and Joey Slye. They ended up going with Joey, and then Chad went and popped off in Arizona. That sucked. Go on ahead, type Y for yes, type N for no in the comment section down below. As always, we want to show the Bengals breakdown that we want T. Higgins more. We're in a subscriber battle with them. So go on ahead and hit that sub button for me.